everyone. And yeah, so it's not my fault. It was the orphans. It was their fault. Uh, there's there's nothing I can do. Okay, Rumble Studios being a brat. All right, its people don't know how to make it work. Okay, look at this. I'm pressing go live. I can't go live. I can't, and I'm not paying for another platform. Oh, goodness. Anyway, so that's what it's gonna be like. I thought about doing a little recording because this is the only way I could think of actually getting stuff there. So it's gonna be a stream of unepic proportions because why not? Like this is literally just nothing at this point. I am really I am at my wits end. It's either cancel it or record it, and I'm just gonna record it because Lord knows. Well, not even then, because recording it for Rumble it would take too long to put it up. Oh, the things people do to be on the platform. But hey, you know what? I'm actually here. And I don't know how long it will let me mute system audio. No, I don't want to mute system audio because I'm usually just basically using the screenshot thing from Windows and all that stuff. So, but yeah. So, how are you, Jeff? How's your day been?
Fine and dandy.
You
Not
know,
for the tech world, but
no, no, not at all. This is the saddest thing I've ever had to see in my life, where I am to the whims of the tech world, and it's crap. It's crap. All of it's crap. Okay, all of it's crap. But yeah, they did. What happened is that essentially Rumble didn't update during the day. Now, see, this is my thing where they could take a page from Epic and maybe cut off a block of time where they say we're shutting down the servers and updating instead of just continually doing this update while people are alive thing. Because this, just tell people ahead of time you're gonna shut down for a bit and then update. That'd be great. You know, that'd be a smart thing to do, I would think, but I'm not paid hundreds of thousands of dollars per year to work at a place that calls itself free speech and whatnot. So there you go. I'm gonna be honest, Rumble. You're kind of losing the field on the tech side there, but that's okay. You can hype up all you want. I'm sure that's going to bring all the people over to your platform. Really gonna think that. But yeah, but it's funny because you're in Alaska and you're drinking ice cold water.
always. Hey, Alaska is the number one place for ice cream as well. So,
Really? What's that place called?
like per capita, we eat more ice cream than anywhere else.
Mm, I didn't
And
know that.
so, yeah, we have our obsession. We are pretty high up on the list for coffee as well as ice cream
Mm.
and ice water.
Ice water, coffee. What about iced coffee though?
Yes, it is very good. That's what I get. Even in the dead of winter when it is -10 outside.
Hey, I've experienced -10 at least once in my life. It's not fun. Okay, it's not fun at all.
Well, if it was down there, then it was probably even colder, which would be the equivalent of -20 or -30 up here,
Jeez,
just because
awful.
we're so dry up here. Very little moisture in the air. So you step outside in the dead of winter and you don't need a coat.
Really? Huh. I wonder why. Is it because it doesn't? There's not moisture in the air. You don't need a coat, or
It's dry. I have a humidifier, sorry, a humidity reader right here, 35%. And
it's
this is summer when it's steamy.
well, but that was backwards though. Your camera's flipped.
Yes, it is flipped, but anyway, it is 35. Now it's 36 because I moved it around. But anyway,
I didn't know that. But I mean, if you guys like ice cream, because I really like moose tracks or turtle tracks, but I'm trying to cut back on that. But yeah, it's been certainly a fun day. It's raining outside where I'm at. There was some lightning earlier. Kind of could use it because it's humid outside, and unlike you, we have humidity, which is the bane of existence during summer. So it's not that fun. But I digress. It is what it is. But yeah, I just I I don't. Oh, there's so much I want to say, but I'm not. I'm gonna be nice about things because if you're not nice about things, people will just talk bad about you for days, and it's more of a frustration venting than anything else. But that's why I invented. That's why I do Rumble Squared, because you can have all the roundtables you want, but without anything to come out after that fact. Like, and I'm not talking like update stuff. I mean, I'm talking like, okay, this is what the people talked about. Well, let's focus on that, because Rumble has a hard time focusing on things that actually matter to people who use their platform. And then they talk about, because there was an I'm not sure you've been on with Tommy, but you see me talk to him around
I know who he is. I don't think I've been on a stream with him.
yeah. He was trying to. I'd asked him about, because he made the Rumble Raid. Um, he made the Rumble Raid extension that you can get on Chromium, or whatever.
Mm.
And it was just trying to give people a Rumble Raid button, while you know to because Rumble, you have to do the slash raid and then all that stuff. He was trying to give them an ease of use point, because Rumble isn't. And so he, after a while, he was sort of like, okay, well, we'll see about other stuff. And I was asking, like, well, what about the camera layout of Rumble Studio, because that's been one of the main issues for many people, is being able to manually put stuff around. Well, he tried, but he ran into a brick wall. But at a certain point, he was like, okay, I want to try to do a mock-up of what it should look like. And then a while back, Rick, while after that, Rick had said, oh, you think we, oh, no, I had said something about, like, Direct has been getting the most love, and Canvas has really not gotten much at all. And then Rick chimed in saying, hey, you think we forgot about Canvas? Buckle up. And I'm like, all right, I'll wait to see what you can do, because there's a lot of talk and stuff. And it's a funny thing too. So when I put out July's monthly question of the month thing, right? a day, not even a day after I put that out, the whole thing about the ML AI stuff that Chris Pavlovsky had put out, that post, not even 24 hours after the fact. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And my question was on content discovery. And I'm like, come on, this is too coincidental.
Yeah, trendsetter there.
Well, and it's like the whole thing with and the question itself is like, how do you feel about content discovery now? It's like, even though 33 responded, which is another difficulty in itself, is just getting people to respond to the question if it relates. It's just like the big majority, the big chunk of it was like, yeah, it still sucks. I'm like, I agree with you, but I need more people to respond to it. and, and it's kind of hard to see NX, but I don't really enjoy using pickaxe because it's not there yet, um, and all that stuff. So that's my issue with all that. And
Understandable.
I know you weren't brought on to be a punching bag. You were brought on to talk about whatever. What ice cream do you like?
You know, the number of challenges I have encountered in the streaming world
uh,
um, is aggravating. And granted, I've not had the worst go of it. I know people who've had a really bad go of it.
yeah,
Um, but for me, there's some platforms where I got so fed up with it. I'm like, that's it. I'm going to go out and I'm going to build my own.
mm,
And so right now, I got rid of all my sound alerts
mm,
across the different platforms. I used to use Stream Elements
oh,
for all sorts of things.
mm,
Stream Elements betrayed me over and over and over and over again, and
that is sad.
I was finally like, "That's it. I'm going to build my own." And so after after many months of learning how to code that sort of stuff, I finally now have a feature that rarely ever breaks. And when it does break, I can go in and fix it.
Yeah, see, genius move right there. Um, yeah, cause uh I think it for me. A lot of people experience platforms differently, which is the motif of it, honestly. Because you're gonna find more success on one platform over the other. Obviously, there are a lot of people who find success on YouTube, on Kick for some, on Twitch for others, Rumble for others. But my thing is like, I'm not interested I'm willing to be someone who's saying, Rumble did this thing well, praise for it. Rumble did this thing horribly, admonish it. I'm willing to do that, but I'm not willing to do this cheerleader stuff, because it does not move things forward. It's a positivity thing. I get it, but it just it rubs me. It's like the same thing when a platform starts calling themselves a family. That's what a business does, and it's not true. If
That family aspect thing is just terrible.
Mhm.
I've seen many people say that sort of thing, and usually that's like the telltale sign something bad is about to happen.
Yeah.
And so they'll build up, this is a family, we're working together. Oh, it's like this person's being the mother and this person's being the father and this one's being the funny uncle. And I'm over there thinking, okay, something bad's about to happen. Just wait for the fireworks. But I didn't know that is kind of how it happens until I kind of saw it play out before me. And I was like, you know, I understand why some places refuse to ever go that way. Now you could go the opposite way and say we're a cold-hearted business that where everyone is a slave to us.
Mhm.
That's also a bad direction. You have to find that medium area.
Yeah, and I've just seen it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there are people on Twitch who probably do that. There are people on Kick who probably do it, and there's definitely people on Rumble who do it. But um my issue is that businesses, if you go to a job, right, like any job you go to, they'll be like, "Oh, we're a family," or "This is a family," or whatever, and I'm like, we're not really. I can, or they like, I consider you all family. Like, unless you're like a small business or something like that, really a family.
See, the only ones that really change that are the ones that are literally a family business.
Yeah, exactly. And those usually don't last forever because obviously family changes. So there's that too. It's
But they also have some of the best track records for longevity as well. So it's a mixed bag.
yeah, for me it's a mixed bag, but I especially again with the content creator sphere, which is what I call it. I just I just uh, I've walked into the landmines I didn't even want to, was just there. I've had to deal with a lot of people who don't get it to some degree of like, hey, you know what? I get there are these complainers out there, right? But not all of them are complainers by your specificity. Yeah, get it. Specificness um of how you see it, because you and I are two very different people and our perspectives are very different. Obviously, you won't go that far. But the point of the matter is, at least we can come together and talk. Other people, it's just like you want to strangle each other over a hot pocket. I'm like, come on, this is serious. And it is. I don't know. I just know that I've seen whenever I see people talk about how to be a content creator, whatever, I'm just like, that's a little horse hockey. I don't know why I would need to follow this. Like I'm doing pretty good for whatever this thing is. It's done pretty well so far. Other than the tech side, that's not my fault. Um, but the other part about it is like, you sort of are an outsider coming in because I've watched a lot of content creators back in my day. Like I've watched people on YouTube, whatever, Markiplier, all them, from a long time ago. I have still drop in once in a while, but watching other content creators, what they talk about stuff. But it's not until you actually get it into yourself and then you do something like crossing over, talking to people, or whatever. Like I've had to deal with something that was totally unrelated to me at all. It was just a guest I was having on. There was some other commotion. There was a potential guest I was going to have on later down the road. I was talking it to, and then all of a sudden I bring this guest that's coming on, and all of a sudden there's this clash of just like whatever. And then I'm hearing talk of lawyers and all this stuff. I'm just like, what has anything to do with? I'm just talking to this person. There's no reason for this. Person still follows
There's
me.
a lot of bitterness across streaming areas. And last I've, well, when I first got in, I had a very clear kind of idea of what I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
I heard about from people that were actors or production we're working on productions in big Hollywood stuff or whatnot, and for what their perspective on what it's like to be in a media sphere. And then I got the chance to actually see what it's like in the streaming world, and it makes Hollywood look sane by
Mm,
comparison.
yeah.
It The pettiness is very strong,
Oh yeah.
and jumping to conclusions. The thing that you mentioned about calling out for lawyers or whatnot, that's commonplace. And everyone's like standing by with a giant blade
Mm.
ready to just gut each other at the slightest, you know,
Is that a
sight of hmm?
yeah? Is that a fish flayer?
Now this is a Japanese katana, a little tiny one,
Ah,
letter
curses.
opener.
Ah, curses. No, I get that. No, for me it was towards the person who was having on that conversation of
Mhm,
lawyer stuff, and I'm just like, and all of a sudden, this person is trying to emotionally manipulate me because it's my fault I'm bringing this person on, and they had to talk their friends down and all this stuff. And like
mhm,
nothing that you're talking about has to do with me. The other person, sure, because it was after the stream that this happened. It was after the stream I had this person, and all of a sudden I'm having this conversation with them. Like nothing that this person has done has anything to do with me. I invited them on. I'm not gonna fact check them on the stuff they bring in because I don't know and it takes too much time and it's ridiculous. Like freedom of speech and all. Not that's why I have that disclaimer in my thing now is because of that situation. I'm like, okay, don't need that anymore. But the point of the matter is like I don't. I care enough to have these people on, to have conversations about whatever, to have people like Wendy on, who was so anxious and so nervous till the day of, and yet for an over an hour and a half, and that lady made it. That's why I do it. And she's not a content creator. I've had to deal with going to go on someone's some group stream. I was a month ago scheduled all that stuff. We had the date picked out and everything. We were trying to find it down. We got a date. Come to the day of, not even 24 hours. I get told, "Hey, we need to bump you off. We have this content creator we were trying to get on, couldn't get on before. This is the only day they come on, so we're gonna bump you off and we're gonna put them on." I'm just like, okay. And at first I thought I was like, okay, what day? And then I'm like, wait a second. Over a month ago, we set this date. Now we come to this date, less than 24 hours, and you're telling me on an emergency scale, it's not really an emergency, but to them it is, that I'm getting bumped for a content creator you'd rather have from a previous time now. And the courtesy of not going through with me is completely gone. It just showed me that they didn't care about their guests. They care about the views they get from the person they come on. And I'm just like, one of the people I had on, great guy, won't say the name, but it's like your group podcast bumped me off for another bigger YouTube content creator, and you couldn't even give me respect to go through with that. I wouldn't do that with anyone. I've had a few times where I've double booked by accident, obviously. Trying to get better at that. It's not easy. Okay. Okay. But it's like, at least I'm willing to admit, and I've talked to the people, like, if there's enough time, I'll be like, hey, this guy came first. I'll schedule for another time. Go from there. Because that's what I want to do. I want to be able to get the other person on. And I've done that, and it's worked out fine. But to be told be bumped off for another big content creator and a month in advance of doing all this stuff, and you're given less than 24 hours, you don't really want me on. I'm just your filler. So why the heck would I come on anymore? It doesn't make sense.
A lot of people are also treated as almost like collector's items, and you don't know which item is going to increase in value, but you might as well try and get them early on,
Mm,
and that way you can be able to see the payoff in the future. There was a guy who did that that I became fairly familiar with, and he
mm,
even admitted that this was the case.
mm,
Um, to where somebody he had brought on many times suddenly struck it big, and he was bent out of shape because he was expecting that that a rising tide would lift all ships, and he realized he wasn't on the inner circle, and
Mm.
he became vindictive.
Oh.
But he would never do anything because he was afraid of losing the what clout potential he already had.
Mm.
And so thus he would rant behind the scenes, and then ugh, it just made it very difficult because you realize that they intended to kind of spite each other and betray one another, but openly it didn't look like it.
I don't get it. I'm doing this. I for me it's like there are some people I've tried to invite back on, but a few people I've had on as guests, they've just blocked me for no apparent reason. No conversation to be had, just done. And I'm just like, what? What's the conversation? I have to figure out something. And it's just like I'm just doing this thing that reaches across globally at this point, right? And people, I mean, yeah, in a sense I'm collecting people's stories and stuff, but I'm creating this library where people can go through and they can look at these people, and the many times somebody comes on and they get to see the person as they are about their thoughts, perspectives, and whatnot. It's not some scripted thing. I mean, I wear the glasses and hat because it's part of the ordeal, but I'm still the same underneath. and and this thing has unlimited potential value for the future and all that stuff, so it has long-term sort of thing. But to come across some of these people who call themselves adults, and it's almost all children at the end of the day, I'm like, you you make this thing harder because it's so easy, and yet you spit in my face. I'm just like, why? What?
Did you ever work at a in or take a class in theater?
No.
So I did not have any sort of familiarity with the world of theater. And then I got to college and I was kind of, I got depressed fast
Mm.
because things were not panning out. And
Mm.
so I was looking for something to work on.
Mm.
And there was an opportunity to go and work at the campus theater. And it actually, uh, was a great opportunity because every week I got the chance to go in and work with my hands and actually do something productive.
Yeah.
Got to work on a variety of different projects, but there's something else I got to see, and that is the drama that happens in in a theater department.
Mm.
Well, they all were very flighty.
Mm.
Well, not all of them. There were some sensible ones,
Mm.
but it was very rare. Well, there was a couple of trends among them all. One of them, every one of them came with some level of trauma.
Mm.
And some people could say, oh, that's just because they're flighty or whatnot. It's just them exaggerating everything. It's them acting. No, I can promise most of them had very real trauma and they got very good at putting on a face for everyone else.
Mm.
Well, that face also makes them really good actors.
Yeah.
In the world of streaming, I have noticed most of the people that are really successful are of the same grain as the theater people that I worked with.
Hmm.
Same sort of thing where they all come with baggage
Mm-hmm.
that you don't know what it is until you get them one on one and you let them just vent. And then suddenly you hear it and you think, "Oh, I understand now." It doesn't give a pass for the bad behavior, but at least you understand this is where it comes from.
Yeah. There was actually someone who I had on. I won't say the name, but they admitted they were playing a part. Sort of stuff. It's kind of hard to describe without giving it away. But basically, this guy had a mindset of survival mindset, like going, and of course it's made this person lots of followers, all this stuff. But I'm coming at it from a different angle of from my personality. It was two very different things. Like I sure there was stuff that came out of it. And I'll tell you the person later, but it was just it was just that moment where like there are many different perspectives and many different sort of energies or whatever we call them out there. But if you don't know how to handle it, you kind of can get drowned out by it. And for me, having chatted, talked to whatever with over 200 various people, you kind of build up the ability to kind of like not get washed away with it, but you still get hit. It's sort of like a light tsunami. You kind of get drowned a little bit, but you're still able to get afloat. And I'm just like, I just like the thing I'm doing seems so simple in just trying to describe from my end, but for many people, it's a difficulty to get a grasp on because they're like, so uh it's just show what's your topics. Like there's no topics, never been any topics other than myself, but that's a different point. Um, trying to be humble here, but it's like I'm not here to be anyone's enemy. There's no point. There's really no point because it's all all of this, all the streaming, all of the it really is temporary. The power goes out, too bad, right? The technology doesn't work, too bad. All this stuff. I can't I can't live on the aspect. And that's why I do this thing as well because I also get past my own bias. And by getting past my own bias, I also get better in dealing with people who are very strongholded in their own bias, even though I'm not perfect. Look, I've already admitted it once, I'll admit it again, I'm not perfect. You're welcome. Um but, but the point of the matter is that it gets it gets time, and that's why when I started, right, you would always hear some people ask like a content creator, like, "Oh, how do you get started? Or what do you do? Or whatever." I'm like, I wouldn't ask that question at all anymore. I'd be asking people like, if you want to be a content creator, why do you want to be a content creator? Why? What do you expect out of this? Because there is no reason. There is no reason that question shouldn't be the first question people ask because this field, this sphere, whatever you want to call it, will mess you up if you are not careful. And if it's not the platforms and if it's not the money, it will be the people itself. And it's not, there are good people out there, don't get me wrong. But again, the content creator sphere is high school drama with business implications. That's what it is.
See, when I was growing up, I was homeschooled.
Mm,
I never got the chance to see what high school drama was like,
right.
and I got thrown into it head first when I went to college.
Oof.
Um, it it was not good. I will never endorse college openly because of that. There's the rare exceptions, but that's how much it impacted me.
Mm,
But I did notice in that world of high school drama that most people don't seem to grow out of it. Like if you get into it early on, it's very, very hard to break out of it when you get to be an adult.
mm, yeah.
Maybe what we need is a civility course for everybody who wants to be on social media or in streams.
Yeah, but that could come across like the whole ID thing coming across to some of these platforms as well, which is going to be another instance of disaster in its own right. But people are still going to flock to the platforms. Why is that? Because they get the views and they get the money. That's why they'll still come to these platforms until they're told they can't by the ID thing, whatever. Which is the funniest thing to me. Like every time something like this happens, not the ID thing, but something of similar value, something like that happens, they will complain about the issue, and yet they will still keep going to the platform. I don't I mean unless people are very masochistic, I think some people just like being abused for some odd reason.
Well, remember, drama sells. And so it doesn't matter what it is. And I can't there's a guy that I know.
Hmm.
Um, he loves Disney.
Yeah.
Even with all the changes that have happened to Disney, he took me aside and said, "You know, I still love Disney no matter what. And it has been a huge part of my life, huge part of my past, and I'm going to continue loving it.
Hmm.
But I hate the fact that I have to go onto social media every day and pretend that I hate it." And I said, why not just find a balance? Say, like, hey, here's an area that needs to be improved upon. Here's what I really enjoy. Become that sort of a streamer. He couldn't because the moment he would start down that path, he would lose money and he would lose it drastically.
Hmm.
Like enough to where it really became that, hey, no, you're doing this because because there's money behind it. And there's another guy who just said, nope, I love Disney. yes, I'm not a fan of a lot of the changes. I'm going to poke fun at it, but I still love it. I'm still going to go to everything as Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's not making the same level of money if he did go with the hating aspect, but most people, they want that fame, they want those clicks, they want those views, they want to become a large channel. And you can't do that if you're kind, considerate, and well, open to different ideas.
So, so like yourself. I'm okay. I'm okay. Um, but no, it is true. But no, but it's
I can tell you actually from personal experience.
yeah,
There's one time where I tried doing a rage thing
yeah.
just to kind of see what would happen. Immediate success, and I went back to being kind of low key, like, hey, let's talk about it. Plunged and never got those people back. But it was like, nope, I don't want to dive into that side of it.
Yeah, because I remember in chat with Abe yesterday, we were talking about the rage bait because of all those Superman stuff, or just watching movies in general. But no, it is a very interesting thing, either the clickbait or rage bait, and I'm just like, I can't play that. I mean, I've done a rant or two here because there is a frustration in trying to understand how when you have a lot of people say, "Oh, I'd like to come over, but I can't because A, B, or C," and a lot of it there's some BS too. Let's be honest. But at other times there are some genuine concerns, and people don't feel they don't get heard. And again, you can have all the roundtables you want, but I want to see data. I want to see people who's like, okay, what was the most talked about thing? All right, was Rumble Studio talked about? Was just in speaking in from my end, but we don't. I don't get that. So I do it. I try to create the thing. I don't think you've been on for one yet. Rumble Squared, but you're like
No,
4 hours behind on the weekend.
hasn't happened yet, as far as I can remember. Now, I was on a group stream a couple of months back, but
Oh,
um,
that was Dara saying
yeah, I
again.
don't think it was the same thing.
Yeah, it wasn't the same thing. Which I'll have to correct that the next time because right now I'm still waiting on a few people to respond back, which is always another thing too. Is like if it's not if it's not the question of the month, it's trying to get people on to give their feedback and stuff. And I mean, there are people who are willing if you keep asking, but it's like I can't put out a a flyer or whatever on X whatever and have someone join in because it rarely happens, if not at all. It's like you have to go to these people and say, it's like with DaraChat, I have to go out to these people and say, would you like to come on? I can't put out a flyer and say, would you like to come on? Because my name's not big enough, or whatever. And even if I did, they'd be too afraid of whatnot. And that's why having people like Wendy or more or so on to show that you can do it. You don't need to be an expert in anything. You just need to have the leap of faith of coming on and being able to chat about whatever. Because it really is that simple, but there's that anxiety and whatnot. So you were gonna say something, sorry.
Yeah. Um, there's one other thing I wanted to mention about the
Yes.
rage
Yes.
baiting and whatnot.
Yes.
This this is something I don't hear a whole lot of people acknowledging,
Mm.
but there's two things that happen. If you
What's
go down the path as a viewer of the rage baiting, rage watching, and whatnot, um, you start to lose your sanity.
mm.
And I'm not saying that lightly. I have seen some people over time, like they just start doing the most bizarre things, and some of them, you start getting very nervous for them. It's like, uh, are you okay?
Mm.
Do you need to? Is there something else going on? And you don't know because they've put on such a face publicly of being angry that the moment you think that this person's actually might be in legit danger of having something happen, you can't really do anything because they're going to joke about it, and so that creates, I think, a level of insanity if you just focus on anger. But there's another thing. If you are a streamer and you are making that sort of content, eventually you start to believe it.
Mm.
There was a guy that I was working for. on a project, and it was one of the ones where I got to where back when I was actually uh, working with some streamers to try and edit content for them.
Mm,
He wanted to make a video about uh, trying to catch all the trolls, and he put in a lot of well, he put in a lot of focus on trying to make this video like secretive, like, oh, I'm gonna catch all the trolls in the act.
yeah.
And I think that what he instead found was bots. And
Mm,
so bots were responding and he was acting like they were real people. But it was like it was so weird. He actually believed that he had caught somebody, and he had been like somehow playing 4D chess.
mm,
Look, I rage baited people, and look, all you people fell for the trap. When in the end, I felt like he fell for a trap that he didn't even understand.
mm,
So I think that you got to be careful of rage baiting,
mm,
and if we don't stop it, like by ourselves, it's going to cause a lot of channels to lose their viewers, and it's going to cause a lot of future problems legally. So yeah, it's not something that I like, and I hope we can find a way how to calm down the discussion on some points. Superman's a good example. You were talking about that yesterday, and I've not seen Superman. I don't have any thoughts on it for or against,
yeah.
but I know there's people that love it. There's people that hate it. And
Mm,
the people that hate it are trying to shame the people that love it.
mm,
Like, folks, this may seem trivial right here, but what happens when it's about something that matters?
mm,
Are you going to have the same sort of mentality, and will you ratchet it up to the next level?
mm,
That's what I get worried about.
mm. I'm not going to ratchet that up to 10, but yeah. You're all a bunch of sissies. You all hate it. No, I just find that when content creation was a seeding of a thing, back in the old YouTube days, it was really basically just post video, people like it, people watch it, all this sort of stuff. But then you started involving money in it, and that changed the whole dynamic of why one creates. Like people can question, like, "Oh, why do you create and all this stuff?" Oh, just because I do. The money's an extra bit. Same with the creator program, which we'll see how long that lasts. But I'm not really going to go for it anymore after this month. But regardless, um, the point of the matter is though, is that I just I really do think that if monetization disappeared from all platforms, you'd probably have people stop because there's no incentive for them to create anymore. Sure, you may have the trolls out there, sure, um, and all that stuff. But what happens when there's no reason to farm engagement to make money?
Oh, they'll find another way. There's other types of monetization methods that have kind of been abandoned in the modern era that
Mm,
they'll go back to. They'll become sponsored streams or whatnot, and so then they'll have the ad reads for example, but they'll be a lot more clever, kind of like in the early 1900s.
mm. It'll be the speakeasy type. I'm just gonna wait for them to get all snake oil salesmen like, come over here and buy this foot cream that'll make them rev up and speed up fast. That's not even foot cream. Um, but yeah, I can't play the game that a lot of people do in this thing because it's really just a losing game, really is. Um, do what you will, enjoy the content you create, but beyond that point, I'm just here to reach out to people, create or not, and have conversations because at the end of the day, that has more value than I possibly could ever thought of in starting out with this thing because I didn't know. I've said this many times. I didn't know what I was going to do with this thing. I started just streaming. Actually pre-recorded stuff and then streaming like me playing a game or whatever. But it really didn't do anything for me. And then all of a sudden I found this thing that does something for me, and you now keep hearing over and over again from certain people, like, if you want to be a content creator, you gotta do this, and this, or whatever, or if you want to make the big numbers, you gotta do this. I'm like, who the fudge gives a rat's behind about that? That's only for people who really care about. I understand growth. Don't get me wrong. I still grow on both ends, but the issue still remains that most of you out there would not create if money was not involved. And of course, he said going back to the old ways, but I'm old, but I don't know the old ways as much as I used to. So That's maybe Raid Shadowlands will be most
We're
popular
we're
out of those.
talking we're talking early days television and radio.
No, I was
If
just
you ever listen to those old shows, you would find product placement put in very sneakily
mm,
into all sorts of things. Like they would have a vacuum and they would choose a vacuum brand that you would see. And because it was all very iconic based upon shape, they would think, oh, yeah, that one I saw in I Love Lucy. I want to get that one.
mm,
Or they would have they'd always have like the door knock at a certain time during some radio shows, and you open it up and there would be a floor wax salesman that would just come in and it's like, what are you doing here? And he says, I want to tell you about Johnson's wax. And he just goes over and he starts rubbing on the floor and like, hey, this is not your home, get out of here.
yeah,
He's like, but don't you see what a great shine it is? Yeah, I know, but it's wonderful. Now get out.
yeah.
So they make a gag out of it. That's what's going to happen with ad reads. That's going to be the future of monetization if everything else collapses.
I'm Rumble's already on its way there with all that, and that was the kicker for me. It wasn't. I mean, part of it was the reason why I wanted to do the creative programming. Part of it was the premium streams. I mean, those were just kind of pushing it because you'd have to set aside some time because you either make a stream half whatever, and I was just doing it as extra stuff. But then it came the ad reads. I'm like, this does not flow well with what my show is. Like when I'm done with the show, maybe I'll stay and talk with the other person, or maybe they'll just leave because sometimes they do, and that'll be that. But I don't need to continue the show on after the fact to make something extra because for me it doesn't make sense. Like the show is done. I have to do my thing. I have to get up in the morning, all this stuff. I don't need to continue on to fulfill the role. Once it becomes the requirement factor, it was just like I mean the chatter thing was okay, Rumble Studio thing was okay, the watchtower was okay. All of that could easily be done and that was fine. But now you're adding in stuff that takes extra time to do and I work a full time job and I'm not gonna keep doing this extra stuff when I'm trying to go with the flow of things. And it was really just like ad reads. All right, I'm done. See ya. The creative program was a bonus. Don't need it. So
Yeah.
that's where I ended up.
I suspect it's going to get worse. Um, if the rumors are correct, a lot of platforms is probably going to become to the point where, depending on who it is, there's probably going to be a need for people to pay to actually be on a platform. And that makes sense
Mm.
because there's a lot of people that are wasting server space with nonsense.
Well, and
There's a
bots
streamer
too.
who will remain, well, yeah, there's a streamer that will remain nameless, and he does 48, 72-hour streams.
Yeah.
And most of it's just his room. Nothing's happening. He's like, all to make money. It's like, you're taking up server space. You're killing the company for pennies.
Oh,
I mean, that eventually that's going to kill the industry. So I honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to there being a small fee because then that will help to prevent stuff like that. Now, it's not going to get rid of all of them,
right.
but
It's gonna create a
I'm
hurdle.
guessing it's going to be the next thing.
It's gonna create. Well, I mean, they already have Rumble Premium, which is you have to pay to be in the creator program for that regard, and that's causing its own sort of friction, which I can understand. But like, I want, I was making this. I can't remember who was responding to. But was like, could you imagine what would happen if YouTube had made YouTube Premium in order to be part of the partner program on YouTube? You had to have YouTube Premium first. Do you imagine how many people would just stop doing it because like well, I can't make partner, so I'm not making enough money. So YouTube would make so much money out of it, but still, the point of the matter is that you'd have a lot of people stop doing that. But I can see it. I can see it because it costs a lot to run a video hosting site. It's not a cheap thing, bandwidth and all that stuff, and server space and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm just like, and that's why you see a lot of ads on YouTube. That's why you see what it's like they sell data at a certain point. I mean, that's how they make their money. And it's Google. So there you go. I don't have to say one
Ah,
word and you
yes,
already get it.
indeed. It's
uh,
become synonymous with with data scraping.
yeah, but yeah, I can see that. But at the end of it though, uh like you were talking about saving yourself from the rage bait and stuff, I'm saving myself from trying to fulfill something that really doesn't mean anything. Create a program. Sure, I get a couple $100, but guess what? I get more. That's more precious. I get to end my show and end it for the night. I don't have to sit up and fulfill something. Like I get on YouTube why people do creator streams or membership streams only or whatever, but I'm like, why? What? Only your members get to see this thing. If they want to give a membership or whatnot or channel sub, that's great. That's an extra thing, but that can easily go away. So what are you creating? Something that's not going to be seen by someone else because it's members only? It's like I don't get it. I mean, it's a nice option to have, so I'm not against it. But I'm like, for me, it doesn't make sense because why why would I keep people from wanting to see all these other people come on? People like Wendy, people like yourself, people like Tommy, people like just the amount of people alone with different skills and talents and all these things that make up what being human is. And I'd hide that behind a membership only stream. That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what the future of it will be, but I heard it from some bigger names a while back that the streaming industry is collapsing, and it's been collapsing ever since the pandemic came to a close.
Oh, of course. Oh,
It
yeah.
had a huge burst of popularity,
Mm,
but it's been going downhill, and the revenue's not panning out. Companies are starting to get wise to the fact that most of it is bot farming, and you don't make money off of bots.
nope.
Sure, the person who's so streamers are the advertisers,
Mm,
but they're advertising for products that aren't selling.
yeah.
So that makes a huge problem if you're a company. And so I think that I would be surprised that if half of the streaming world doesn't collapse within the next few years. I was told that it was going to be about a 2 to 5 year span. Well, we passed the 2 year marker, so I'm guessing it's probably closer to the 5 year span.
Mm, yeah. I mean, the thing of it is, it might just go back to uploaded videos because you can't really bot that. Well, you can, sort of, but you can't. I don't know. I guess maybe it's a lot more difficult to bot that. I don't know.
It still can be botted, but in terms of the people actually get revenue from it. So you kind of like what you mentioned earlier that um, monetization is a huge problem. Well, remember when X became monetized and all the nonsense stuff
Mm.
started getting posted?
Oh yeah.
Well, it's never gone away, and some of the accounts that are most active, that have the highest traffic or have all the credentials on there,
Mm-hmm.
those ones are some pretty nefarious bot accounts.
Mm-hmm.
I got one that contacted me just recently, and it was a fairly sophisticated bot. Um, and I was like, wow, this is actually kind of interesting to get to see this in action right now because you can tell it was AI driven,
Mm-hmm.
which burn the AI. But anyway, um, when I see stuff like that, it infuriates me because they're
uh,
killing the platform and they're trying to scam people, and no one's going to be happy.
mm. Yeah, and my thing is like, people are starting to wise up to the fact that maybe the dead internet theory is going to be more than just a theory at a certain point. Because you already haven't, well, I mean, what, you already saw Twitch, right? Twitch is going to start doing its thing, and people are already starting to complain about losing, but maybe the point of the matter is to show that maybe you didn't, yeah, unintentionally or not. Like, there are some people who probably had bots follow them and watched them unintentionally, but you know, it's not going to be an easy thing to do because it's like you said, some are have AI bots to them, and again, like the channel I watch sometimes is payback scammers. Like they're gonna, some of them are starting to use AI to get better and better to scam people. I mean, it's not gonna go anywhere. The technology, the tools out there, and now good and bad people are gonna use it. Or dumb people, but that's a difference of opinion right there.
So I think it was 2 years ago. This was early on when I actually had quite a few. My live streams used to have far more people that would tune in. I was averaging between 20 and 50 people, and for me, those are big numbers. The
Yeah.
highest that I was getting was like in the 70s,
Mm,
and that was for regular viewership.
mm.
I'm not counting the 19,000 that happened on Rumble that one time. Bot farm. But anyway, there was this was on Twitch, only Twitch,
uh,
and I raided somebody, and I went over as a brand new guy. I had no idea what to expect from him, and he saw our raid, and this was when I was losing people, and I was down to about 12 folks. I raided, and no one was chatting. And I started thinking that some of my viewers might have been bots. There, I had legit people there,
mm,
but they had to run,
yeah.
and I was about ready to run. I said, "Okay, I think I'm going to start wrapping up for the evening. Maybe I'll see you next time." And he started to panic
Mm,
on stream. There were thousands and thousands of people watching him,
mm,
and I didn't realize that until after I rated because I didn't want to be seen as like trying to steal from a viewership. I've
mm,
been accused of that before, and like, no, it's just trying to show people other folks and whatnot. Anyway,
yeah.
I didn't realize that there were thousands of people watching him,
Uh,
and he was panicked that I was about to leave. I thought, okay, this is a bit weird. So I just stayed there and chatted with him a little bit. I realized that there were a lot of thumbs up emojis or happy faces or whatnot. No one was chatting.
mm,
It was only me.
mm,
And the guy was desperate for that. I
mm,
found out that it wasn't even just that platform. He was across multiple platforms.
yeah.
So he had thousands upon thousands of people watching him, and he was carrying about one fella in on the Twitch side.
Yeah.
He was making, I think he said it was around 8,000, between 3 and $8,000 uh, per quarter,
Mm,
because he was a competitive streamer.
mm,
He would play games and he would actually go to competitions.
mm,
Well, I finally rated him again a couple months later, and there was no one there.
mm.
Absolutely zero. It was a bot farm that he was paying for, and he
Ooh.
lost everything. So he wasn't real.
Uh,
That's why he was so desperate that I not leave.
uh,
And so he went from thousands to nothing.
mm. Mm-mm. Well, and I can only speak from my experience in that, but I do know that there are some people who do lurk, that do just listen. They don't interact like work and stuff. So I do know that that is a case. So it's not just all bot farms. There is a truth to the lurking factor, which is another thing. Like I think some mention of on Twitch like they'd have to, but it was mostly for the advertising rather than just saying that they wouldn't be counted because I think Twitch came out and said we're gonna count them separately. We're gonna count lurkers separately from bots, but in order for the advertising to count, you do have to have people chatting in the chat. But even then, it's like even with advertising, like the only thing that counts is if it turns into a buy, and that's like trying to throw a penny into a small cup as a wishing well, and it's 10 feet out, and you're just like, oh, here we go. Um, curses. But no, again I do know that there are some that are lurkers, that there's some there that they may say something and they don't, but that's why I don't initially believe that it's all bots. Now there are some streams I've stopped by on Rumble. You can see them sometimes on YouTube of like 24/7 streams or something like that, but on Rumble I've stopped by some streams and it's like their stream time hour is just it's beyond 24 hours. They're going now there are a few I've had on one at least that's 24/7. There are some 24/7, but these aren't 24/7 streams. They are streams that restreaming or whatever. And it's just like you can probably take a guess that it might be a bot doing it or restreaming or whatnot, but it doesn't say anything. Labeling something 24/7, doesn't not sometimes it's not always labeled 24/7, but it can be 24/7. That's what I've come across. But it's almost everyone deals with that. Every platform deals with it. It's just some are able to hide it better than other platforms. YouTube's able to hide it better because of all the tech they have to help with it, but it still doesn't stop like bots leaving a comment, bots having a stream and all this stuff. It doesn't stop that, but they can hide it a lot better. But other platforms like Rumble, man, it's so blatant out there. it is what it is. Um, but I digress. I'm not a tech person, so don't ask me questions like that. But but yeah, it just I get that, but I'm not willing to say that all when you have a lot of people, I'm not willing to say they're all bots because I have had some say I'm here lurking, and I don't want to assume that.
Yeah, well, no, it's when you get up into the thousands that you have to start suspecting. If
Mm,
it's a few dozen, not likely. There will be a few bots, but it's when they get up into the hundreds and thousands of people,
yeah,
then you're like, there's something amiss.
yeah,
There's some big streamers that there's rumors that they became big because they paid for multiple bot farms simultaneously in order to try and ratchet up their views,
mm,
and so they're very, it's not organic in the slightest. And
mm,
so then the moment they stop paying, then it crashes.
yeah. See, now I would like to try as an experiment, like, okay, I'm making an episode where I've paid bot farms to see if I can get 1 million views and see how that works. I have $100. We'll see how this goes.
There's a streamer that I was chatting with, good friends with for a while,
uh,
um, and I one day I arrived to his stream and he was very depressed, and I asked, "Well, what's going on?
mm,
Something go wrong at work?" It was like, "Oh, no, no, no. The um the bots that were watching all left, and I actually have half the subscribers I thought I did." And it's like, "But you weren't paying for a bot farm, were you?"
mm.
No, no, but somebody apparently did.
Oh,
So it was somebody else that was paying for it. So it was like, oh well, the thought that counts. Oh wait, now you just ruined his that high that he had, because now it finally came to reality what was going on.
yeah. Which I mean, I think the only highest I ever had at one point was like 60 people. But my issue is that um between both Rumble and YouTube, YouTube's an ocean. So good luck. I mean, you can grow, but it's gonna be a tough uphill battle. And with Rumble, it's beginning, it's new, so there's gonna be something. But the issue of it is like it's very. I'm gonna just use the word because it's for me. It's true. It's very incestuous. The platform is very incestuous because you have a lot of creators. There's nothing wrong with creators supporting creators. I'm not going to be against that. But when all the support like views, when the majority of the support is views, likes, comments, all this stuff is from other creators, then that's kind of a sign that it's a bit incestuous, and there's not a lot of new people coming to the platform unless it's for maybe whatever it's been known for, political or whatnot. And I'm not gonna walk away from that because it is kind of true. I've seen it one my surveys or the surveys that I've done, the data shows that how people find other people is through creators. So it's a creator, what's the term? It is a creator promoting creator platform. Basically, with no discovery, it takes another creator to find these other people. I don't know what to tell you. The data shows. The data shows. Even if it's not 1,000 people, like I've had at least one or two people try to discredit what I do. And it's like it's not 1,000 people. It's not done scientific. It's who else is doing it? I'm not perfect here. I've already stated that. But who else is doing it? You can have all the fudge and roundtables you want, but no one's bringing data. No one's taking down that data. It's just talk, talk, talk. Hope someone from Rumble comes in, and then that change happens. No, give me data, put it out there for everyone to see, and have that data be used by people to kind of push the platform because it's going to take you viewers and creators to make the platform better. Rumble may say it, but it, one person can't. I mean, one person can make the difference. I'm trying, but it's just give me the data. Stop doing a stinking roundtable. Stop having just people talk on. Give me the data. Show me what people said. Because it gets ridiculous where it's like, oh, we're gonna do all this fancy stuff and have some of these people come in. Guess what happens? Some of the time it doesn't happen, or it takes months down the road and it's just like, where's the focus? And that's my rant for the night. I hope you all appreciate it very well. Uh, I'm trying to I'm letting people know that I'm recording, so the episode will be out later. Will be because I don't have as for me tomorrow. I do not have a stream because I will be on someone else's show. Because that's always nice. It's always nice to take a break from your own show and just, you don't have to worry about anything. You're on their show and all that stuff. So it's kind of nice. And I've had her out before. Sevi's really nice. She's very into Hello Kitty. All right. Last time I had her on, I was showing her the park in Japan, and it was just like the Hello Kitty park. Still expensive, the food and stuff and all that. But I was showing her that. We kind of talked over that, so it was pretty nice. Uh, Later tonight. There we go. All right. So even
You
though,
know, the channel that Sevi works with, Moonskull,
mm,
they're doing something that really makes them stand out, and that is they're legitimately creating entertainment in a product.
mm,
And so thus it lends itself to things that people want to share. Hey, I'm into the D&D campaigns,
mm,
but I'm not a creator, but it's all about the game itself. And so
mm,
then they get drawn into that sphere.
mm,
Rumble doesn't have that sort of culture. We don't have a whole lot of stuff over on Rumble that leans itself towards people who are the consumers. It's all very creator focused, like you kind of mentioned about earlier. But Sevi is definitely part of a group that is breaking the mold in terms of what smaller streams and communities are doing.
mm.
And so Erudai, who is the other part of that,
Yeah,
who's kind of the mastermind behind all of the stuff going on,
yeah,
uh, he's putting a lot of money, blood, sweat, and tears into that, and it has panned out quite well for him. It
good.
hasn't been easy,
Yeah,
and hopefully, it continues to get better.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it is. Hopefully, it is a good experience tomorrow because they're definitely part of a sphere that I think is doing a lot of good.
Well, I know Rudai has done all the D&D stuff with Geeks and Gamers, which was part of his ordeal. Because he works with Geeks and Gamers. Um, but I know he's hearing the name. I know he's done D&D. Now D&D is not really um thing I've been to, been in it at all, to be honest. But she did invite me on, so I'm gonna go on anyway, just because. Uh, well, I'm recording the whole screen so they can.
Okay, well, so you're going to cut this part out.
No, I can't cut it out.
Okay,
Uh,
so yeah, I'll talk to you about it later.
yeah. There was nothing here. What you saw is all a lie. But that makes the social pointless at the end of the day. But my my thing is that just again, it's just going back to like it's nice to once in a while to take a break from doing your own show. Not that it's saying I dislike it. I'm just saying that once in a while it's nice to catch your own breath and not have to set up tomorrow. Even though I do it pretty easily because all I need is a template uh, and
You
tools.
know, if you want to wake up at 3 in the morning, you can participate in my streams.
No, I have to go to work, so not gonna happen. But maybe one day in the blue moon if I ever have vacation, and then I'm like, oh, you know what? Oh, yeah, I used to have to do that for a previous job, and never again would I have to wake that up at
Mm.
that time. Maybe if it's for a show and I have the time off, sure. But if that's not the case, it's not gonna happen. Nothing against you, of course. It's just the way it is, work wise.
Yeah, no, I chose that time slot because every other time slot didn't work out. I wasn't big enough, wasn't entertaining enough for the to be in a normal time slot, so I ended up being the evening streamer. And so it's usually people that are having trouble getting to sleep that will stop by and check it out.
Um, yeah, I don't view myself as big either. Although hopefully one
Hey, you're
day,
bigger than me.
that's what she said. But no. Sometimes you just have to go for the gun. But no, and this has been another thing too about doing this is that I get people love to celebrate the milestones. I get it, the views and all this stuff. But like for me, it's just like it really I have not. A while back, I did do like, oh, look how many followers I have on both Rumble and YouTube. But then after a while, I stopped because I asked myself, what's the point in the real milestone, right? The real milestone that I want to celebrate, that I want to do, is how many guests I've had on, creator or not, because that shows that it is possible to beat this sort of thing that's been an issue with content creator sort of thing. Like, you content creators invite other content creators. Now, I'm not saying I'm the only one. Theo Vaughn has done something like that. There have been others. Um, but the problem with it is there have been many people I've come across where they're trying to schedule people on, and it is rough for them. And I was like, I'm not saying it's any easier for me, but I'm like, I'm still surprised I can get people on and do a month full, of course. But then I have a backlog of people like yourself. Um, but it's just interesting. Like I hear these people like I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I have my difficulties too. But for me to, like, hey, I'm coming on. I do this thing. I invite other people on. I try to do it in a month in advance because it's always it's always the thing. Just try to set it up. Um, but it's just I prove that it works. I prove that you can have people on who aren't content creators and have a great time. But there's a lot of people who um won't take that risk because taking the risk means you have to give something up. And if people want to build a brand or whatever, they kind of follow that route of what we talked about earlier. But for me, it's like I've built this thing on people, and people are complex, people can be simple, people can be messy, people can be orderly, a whole bunch of things. But i'm not I'm not gonna I'm not gonna turn somebody away because they don't have a follower count of so many followers, or have to be paid to be on or whatever. I'm like, that's bolshevik. That's, for me, that's bolshevik, because I can I can outbeat some of these content creators in almost a whole year on having guests on than I can in you know the follower amount, the view amount, or whatever. Um, so I just find what I do. It still surprises me at the end, but yeah, I just it's, don't listen to me. Celebrate your milestones, but for me, I find it very hard to continue celebrating milestones on that regard of like followers and stuff when followers don't always equate views. Someone,
100% there.
and if someone told me I was like almost 1,000, like, well, that's great, but where are my 1,000 views? Now, that's not saying that because again, on Rumble, it's a bit incestuous, and it's mostly other content creators that follow me. Not saying that they're bad people, but we're just saying that majority of the time it's mostly other content creators that follow me, and I I can't. I'm not gonna dilute that truth. It is it, at this point in time, Rumble is a bit incestuous, and that's self inflicted. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, they kind of leaned into that early on. And I think the people that are investing, that created and have been investing heavy into Rumble, are very delusional. They just assume that because they say they're free speech and that they're the alternative, that means that they're going to win. And so far, they've not really been proving that. There are other options out there that have slowly been growing over the years.
Yeah.
And I actually have more hope for them long term than I have for Rumble.
Oof.
But Rumble's the one that's the most boisterous about it. And because they got a lot of creators that speak openly, it seems like it's doing even better than I think it really is.
Mm.
It's a shame because um, humility is very important for
Yes.
wanting your business to have true success. You can get hype, but hype's not going to be true success. You
Mm.
need to take a step back, take a dose of reality, and realize that there's major problems with what you kind of mentioned about how it's creator focused only. And you need to start to figure out how to slowly break down those walls. Don't make a big public spectacle of it. Just do it subtly,
Yeah.
do it quietly, build it, and then let people discover it along the way.
Oh, see, now when you said that, it's like when they do the update stuff, like when they add things into Rumble or whatever, and it's like you have to discover. I really would like Rumble to have on their own platform a place where they say, "Hey, we had this update. Here's what you can see," because they don't. They do it on X, and it's like, don't just do it on X. Do it on your own platform too, and they don't do that. I'm like, that's uh, there's a lot of look at this. There's a lot of free money, ease of use stuff that Rumble leaves on the floor, and they're more concerned about the wallet, shorts, if that ever is going to happen, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I'm like, the direct RTMP, while is great to some degree, it's kind of a missed point because they focus majority of their time there. And I'm just like, there's a lot of a penny's still a penny. The raid button that Tomby
I
has.
thought we stopped producing pennies in this country.
Well, this yes, but there's still pennies around. All right, so just because they're not produced does not mean they're not pennies still
They're
around.
collector's item now.
Well, they're not. They haven't made them to the point where people can melt them down for the copper, though. So that's still a thing.
Hmm.
They're just not being produced anymore. But it's just like there's a lot of free money in retrospect that's being lying around in Rumble, and it's taking other creators to create the ease of use that Rumble desperately needs, and doesn't put any focus on.
You can solve this problem very quickly, and that is by having um, the ability for open source contribution. Sure, you can be the gatekeeper, kind of like what Blender does.
Hmm.
If you make it open source, you get all the free inputs and tools that other people want to contribute because they're making money on it on the side, even though they're not making it through your platform. They're either commissioned or they do it because they get frustrated, kind of like with me in the my own version of Stream Elements.
Mm,
If I could incorporate that into Rumble, that actually might be something worth doing. I mean, the tool works. It's not refined enough to ever want to ever really do that,
mm,
but at least the basics are there. So at least it becomes a springboard. Maybe someone else could take all the way to the finish line,
mm.
but they're not doing that,
Yeah.
at least as far as I'm aware of.
Yeah, and even if so, it's sort of like again earlier I was talking about how Tommy was doing all this stuff with his tool that he has. I was trying to do the camera layout for here, and then all of a sudden I had said, Direct getting more love than Canvas, and then Rick pops in and says, "Hey, you think we forgot about Canvas? Buckle up!" And I'm just like, that's really that's like, my answer to him was like, all right, uh, I wait to see what's gonna come next. It's gonna be interesting. I kept it very nonchalant because I'm not about the hype. I'm about I'm about the Jerry Maguire, right? Show me the money. Show me the money instead of showing me the show me the update. Show me the update. Show me the update because it's getting a little tiring. And while I appreciate all the hard work that they do over there, um, it's not focused. It's a little over the place. Of course, obviously they have to respond to the CEO, so it's kind of the CEO on board. That's at fault. Um, but that's why I do what I do because it's kind of hard to ignore data out there collected by people who use a platform, and all of a sudden they're like, I don't think we can ignore that. We're gonna have to. I mean, they can because it's X, and it's kind of hard to get responses on X. But at the end of the day, I'm not ending it, and I'm not. Oh, 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 end stream. Oh wow.
Oh,
Oh,
heavens.
error starting stream. Okay, so I did get to start the stream. So
Well, now,
I may so what I'm gonna try to see if I can't so what I'm gonna do end this the recording part, and then we'll just do a quick outro of like, sorry you couldn't join. The sadness continues. Or maybe not. Actually, I'll just leave it as is. I don't care. Because we've already had our fun. But we're coming to that closing point because I'm gonna have to post this. Well, I'm gonna have to edit a little bit. I'll try to keep the chat box out, but at a certain point, um, way to go, Rumble. Um, wish you the best, but we need to really start finding what the major points are, cause this all over the place. They have internal data, I get that, but it's not the data that's going to inspire people to come on the platform and some people stay because of the creator program, but the creator program's turning into a loose knob because you have to do more requirements and you're getting less pay, and the less people that are out of it, maybe they'll get more pay, and it's a bit of mess. The whole when the new requirement came out and no one did a god dang thing of communicating it to the people out there, that's when you know they really don't know how to communicate at all. I've been very adamant in them getting a spokesperson because they do not have a unified message. They're corporate, but they do not have a unified message. They do not promote on their own platform any of the updates at all. It's only on X, and they cannot and they don't seem to be able to communicate very well about the requirements. The last requirement, 20 unique chatters, was poorly communicated. It would have taken the CEO one post to say, hey, new requirement coming next month, 20 unique chatters, and then explain what unique is. One post would have solved pretty much all the problems they had unless someone had some deeper clarification. But no, it took one post, head of product or CEO, um, clarifies. Then another line, head of product, CEO clarifies. All in one post. I don't I don't I don't get what is so hard about communicating to your content creators and your viewers about something on your platform. I don't get what's so hard about this. Communication is a simple 1-2 step that should be pretty, they're a business. I mean, and it's not just Rumble. There are many other businesses. I've worked for many other jobs where communication was a poor third or fourth to everything else. Well, go ahead, sorry. You're gonna say something.
Um, I would love to see underneath the hood
Yeah.
of what goes on with their group, because this feels very much like it's people who got in over their head. There's many games out there that have been hyped up to, like, oh, it's going to be the best game in the world. It's going to be open world. It's going to be ultra realistic. It's going to they hype things up a whole lot because they have a good hype man. But then when it comes to actually making it, they just assume that it will naturally materialize, or they're trying to scam people. It's one of those two things. Most likely, it's going to be that they actually don't have the skills.
Mm,
Kind of like a guy that I know who was trying to make a game. This was back in the early 2010s.
mm,
It looked like he had all his ducks in a row. He had the production all kind of plotted out. He was getting the hype train going with it, and he showed us a demo of it, the one that nobody else could see because we were rooming together. And all the guys in the house were like, "This thing's trash. It's horrible."
mm,
And he got very defensive. He's like, "No, this is the best game in the world. Oh, it's going to be perfect." And uh, I've yet to see him actually make this game, and he's had a long time to do it. And
mm.
to the point where I think he finally realized this ain't working. He finally closed down shop on it.
Oof.
But I can't help but feel like when something doesn't get delivered, it's either because you have a guy who's too good with hype and he doesn't understand what's possible with the code, or they're promising something that they never intend to deliver. And that's both of them are equally problematic.
Yeah. Well, I made a post a long time. Oh, not a long time ago, but I made a post where I was talking about, you know, oh, I don't know if I can find it. I'll have to. Oh, that's right. But it was a post of I um I can't remember what was on. Actually, I could. I'm sure I bookmark it. I'm not gonna show on screen because I don't need to do all that silliness. But it was a post I'd made about, all this stuff, like, Rumble does this or that or whatever. Um, Let's see if I can find it. I swear I remember I did it because I've been trying to bookmark a lot of what Chris or Rick say on X because there's a timeline to this stuff. Uh, one of the which is to the stuff I put out. So another, like I was telling about the question a month for July and what the CEO put out, not even 24 hours after, in April, I had put out the April compilation of that data, that survey stuff, right? 4 days after that had happened, the the CEO had put out something about trying to get their platform stability in order. And I'm like, for 2 to 3 months, my survey has been showing that platform stability and content discovery are missed pain points. And now I'm having the
Kind of like
CEO,
today.
yeah, well, this platform stability for this one, but the the CEO 4 days later to say, hey, we're gonna start focusing on platform, and then a month later he says, oh, we've gotten pretty much all of it done. We just have a few things left. Like, yeah, a month after the fact, I'm pretty sure you have um, more on, and I'm trying to find. Oh, here we go. My post. It was made in June 5th, and it goes like this. Look, I appreciate that Rumble listens to feedback from creators and users. That's generally good to see, and they do have advantages over other platforms. But here's what's bugging me. Rumble keeps playing catch up instead of getting ahead of problems. Their streaming software works, sure, but it's way behind what competitors offer for paid and free. And honestly, it feels like they're always reacting to issues instead of preventing them, which is very true. I've been running public surveys with Rumble creators and viewers for months now. Same problems keep coming up: platform stability and content discovery. These aren't new complaints, but nothing really changes. Perfect example: when the Asmon Gold drama happened, tons of people jumped to Kick immediately. Yeah, partly because of him, but also because Kick is just easier to use and feels familiar if you're coming from Twitch, because let's be honest, it's a copy of Twitch. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to trash Rumble. I genuinely want them to see succeed. But if we can't be honest about what's broken, the platform just becomes irrelevant. I'll keep doing these surveys because the data matters and people deserve to see what's actually happening. But man, it's frustrating watching competitors zoom past while Rumble stays stuck on the same issues. I've always said I'll call out both the good and bad. Right now, there's a bit more bad to call out than I'd like. And to lead in that, right, uh this is coming from the head of operations. This is a reply he gave to that. keeping it short Keeping it short and sweet, because I know you mean well and you can't see the whole thing from the outside, but you are making some very broad assumptions from a very small amount of data you can see. And then he says after that, it's not as easy as you may think. Just like I couldn't say to Ferrari, you'd win every F1 race if you just make a car faster. Doesn't work that way. That's head of operations reply to my post of that.
That is that to me says that Rumble has no intention of fixing things. I'm going to be blatantly honest with this. I don't trust them, um, because everything I've seen is about people that want to get rich. They feel like like they missed out on the opportunity early on,
Mm,
and so then when it comes to actually trying to build the platform, when you start attacking, even because that technically isn't an attack. Um, yes, it's a bit subtle,
yeah.
but it is something where it's like, no, you don't understand. That's saying we don't care about your input. And that is very aggravating to me to hear something like that, because I've seen people give me that same sort of response on things that later on pan out to be where, nope, you guys were in the wrong.
Yeah.
And you were just looking to try and defend yourself at the cost of your own success.
Mm,
It's kind of like with Disney going after the fans. It doesn't work. In some cases, it works, but for the most part, it doesn't work. It doesn't open it up. It doesn't give you room for improvement. Humility says, you know what? We didn't actually think about it as being like that big of an issue. But we're going to have to take this into consideration. We might not be able to act upon it for a while, but we'll at least acknowledge it and try and figure out ways to improve it.
Mhm.
That would have been a more tactful way to approach it. But just saying you don't understand, as somebody who has learned how to code, that is the cheap shot that they took. And sure, it's not the worst that they could have done, but it's
Mm.
pretty bad.
Well, and it's coming from the head of operations, whose main job or part of his area is support.
Yeah. I wonder if they hired people to make Rumble and they got rid of their coders.
They
I've
probably
heard
did.
about that as being a problem. There's a game that I don't remember where I saw this. It might have been Upper Echelon that did this,
Mm.
but there's a game video. There's a video about a game that was being made, and it was showing how things fell apart.
Mm.
And um, they had a good coder early on, and then he said, "Hey, I'm not getting paid," and he said basically go to the curb. And so he left, and they're like, "Dang, now we don't know how to actually fix this." But they burned their bridge with their coder.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when a businessman takes over an art studio.
Mm.
He doesn't know how to make art. He doesn't know how to tell a story. And so he'll sabotage it for money. Same
Mm.
thing with people that are making games or platforms. You need people that are the workers making it, and you want to empower those people to actually make it happen, because otherwise you might be shooting yourself in the foot by trying to chase a few extra dollars today. You sabotage a fortune in the future.
It's just like with one's personal health, right there. But no, you're not wrong. And it was just like he got called out on it, and then made a post like, "Oh, we're 100% grateful." And I'm like, "Yeah, you were 100% grateful before you got called out." But my issue is still the same. Is like if they want to be the platform they hype themselves to be, then they've got to start showing the work, not saying. And that's where I think with people like Tomby and stuff, like there are people who really want to see this platform grow, me included. But don't think for 1 second I'm just gonna stop because you're starting to do the few things that people have been asking for. No, this is called the accountability, the transparency that was supposedly told me a while back that they were so great at. No, 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 no. You don't want it for YouTube, but YouTube's too big, so it's kind of hard. You don't want it for Twitch, and yet Twitch is so big that's hard. You don't want it for Kick, and yet Kick has its own issues up and down the wall. Why would I accept that with Rumble? Rumble wants to be the best. Okay, prove it to me. You have a lot of people here in your creative program, and yet you couldn't communicate one single requirement. That's bad. You can't you can tell me that I don't know coding, but I do know some people who do know how to code. I've talked to them. You see how this works? You see how I do this thing? I can talk to people who know how to code, and I can reach out to them and I can say, "Hey, how does this thing work?" And I've heard over and over and over again how you should just the guy who created Rumble Labs, right? By accident. Great guy. He's in Sylvania. Sorry. He simply said, hey, the code's already out there. Just take bits and pieces, make your own, and there you go. Now the stuff you have to be careful of because there's patents and all that sort of stuff. So you have to be careful. So I understand that part. But if someone who's been a software manager for 15 to 20 years is telling me when I ask him, just out of curiosity, you might want to take what's out there and make your own. I don't know who I'm supposed to trust. Am I supposed to trust the two winner Emmy and the people underneath them, or do I trust the person who's put in 15 to 20 years? Tell me. I'd like to know. I'd like to have the conversation, but there's no one willing to have the sorry. There's no one willing to have the conversation. It's all just the block of we'll let you know and you can wait outside. And I'm like, no, I'm going to raise the data and I'll let people decide from there. I think you froze.
Yeah, let me double check what's going on here. Okay. Um, there we go. Every now and again that happens, but fortunately it doesn't tend to happen with anything other than the virtual camera.
There, I was like, for a second, I was really into it. It's like he isn't moving. I don't know what's going on here. He usually take a drink of water by now, but he's
I'm
not moving.
I'm able to harness My inner statue.
Oh
I even
goodness.
make the fire in the background freeze.
He's turning into what is it from Doctor Who? The angels.
Oh yeah, the stone angels or
Stone
whatever they are.
Stone angels, yeah, whatever
I
they're
don't
called.
know what they are.
Yeah, and I can't remember. But yeah, it's just like I'm willing to have the conversation. I'm willing to be honest, but I'm not gonna be hype cheerleader. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna play that game because I want the platform to succeed. But in order for it to succeed, it's gonna have to take the lumps and make ease of use options because I'm telling you right now, it still looks like it's not improved beyond the scope for ease of use. And that's a problem.
One of the benefits is that you have now a show that is across multiple platforms and relatively similar views across many of them.
Oh.
So you're technically not, at least from what I could see out here, but you're technically not cornered into one platform or the other.
Mm,
There are some people they've built their entire identity around
one
Rumble,
platform.
and those people they've gambled horribly, in my opinion, because if something goes wrong, they've burned their bridges with everywhere else,
Mm,
and they've made it very hard for them to go back.
mm.
I don't know what the solution is for these platforms, but multi-streaming's not perfect,
Nope.
but it's also not the future in my opinion. I think there's going to be something else that has to come along. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to figure that out so I can be at the cutting edge, but it's probably not happening anytime soon.
Get a magic 8 ball. It's like, will I be able to see the next thing? Ask again later. God dang it! Every single time I ask. Um, but regardless, it's all out of wanting to see the platform get better. But I'm not gonna like with Tom B. I'm not gonna take it. I'm not gonna take the excuse anymore. I'm going to simply collect that data and I'm going to put it out there publicly. And either you will respond or you won't. And it's sure it may not be 1,000 people responding to, but all it takes is time. And X really isn't good about you know showing that thing out there because of the algorithm stuff. But if I tag certain people, it'll help. But at the end of the day, I will keep collecting that data. I will keep asking people on, and I will keep getting those honest answers because uh, we have so many platforms out there that they're not all perfect. They have their own pros and cons. But if people want to see the platform get better, gotta do that thing. But anyway, I think we've gone on far enough. I think it's been pretty all right. We've just sat here talking about whatever. I did have a partial possibility of the stream being able to start, but as you can see, it says air starting stream. So, um, it didn't start the Rumble side. It was YouTube side. It was gonna be fine, but the Rumble side was not gonna start. So that was the issue.
Hmm.
But anyway, so what's gonna happen is for all the people who are watching us later on, because that's the case. Um, there on the right, you do see our links, and I tried to do it both together, and I was like, I probably should do it separately, but there's mine right there highlighted. Um, and of course, you have AlaskaManJeff's right there with Castercraft. Obviously, we spent a lot of time on the technology and all this stuff, but sometimes when things just don't go wrong, you need a little release, and hopefully, people don't take it too the wrong way. But again, all hype and no work equate to a poor butt platform. But that's just a personal opinion. But anyway, um, but yeah. So go give us a look. I'm not gonna do all the other stuff because it's already been a day, and I really just wanna I really was not gonna give up, but then it was like roadblock, roadblock, roadblock. Well, just record, and we'll be done with it. So we'll see what tomorrow holds. Tomorrow I'm on someone else's stream with Savvy, and of course, as AlaskaManJeff said, they're doing like a D&D. That's what the Moon Skull is. It's D&D, right?
Yep.
So I'll be on to
I do a couple of intros for them on from every now and again. So
yeah. Well,
I have a good working relationship with them.
yeah. Well, and I have to say too, thank you for the gift and thank you for the post you made in the Dara's Hangout Den community thing. That was a pretty nice thing. I may use that at a later time, but the gift has
Yeah, I'll
been
send you a better version of that GIF in the future. I just have to tweak the bill of that so it fills up the little frame a little bit better.
well, and Rumble has to figure out how to get that whole thing better too. to be honest. But no, yeah, I do appreciate it. Because majority of it, like the stars, some of the stars were made by Chad. Um, what is it? The stars were made. Some of the stars were made by Chad. The post-it notes were made by Mr. R, and a few other things that I made through Canva. But I'm really not the best at this sort of stuff. But that's why I have people I can talk to, hey, can I do this thing or whatever, and maybe I could throw some money at them. But at the end of the day, I have connections beyond belief. It's just um, I don't do it for favors. I do it because, for the most part of it, connections and conversations are the highlight, where it almost seems like it's harder for everyone else to some other degree. I'm not topic centered. I'm not asking big. I've asked some people who are considered big, but not all of them. I don't know what's. I don't know if Sevi's considered big or not, but she's known at least.
She's bigger. I will say that,
Okay.
and she has pretty big connections.
Yeah, she has pretty big connections. But at the end of the day, it's not about that. It's about connecting with people and having conversations with creator or not. I showed that Friday with Wendy. I showed that with Anjanette. I'll show that in the future with other guests coming on. The point of the matter is, though, is that this thing has unlimited potential, and it's you don't see it very much, or at least not in the same way I'm trying to do it. I don't know. That'd be the great way of saying it. But all I know is that this thing draws me, and I'm going to continue doing it because there's value here, and there are a lot of people out there that believe they don't have something of value to say when I've proved that wrong time and time again. So there's that. There's no video, so I mean I could play a video, but you'll see us all screen down there just looking at like whatever. So I'm not gonna do that. It's been a day, so and I need to use the restroom. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. Sorry again. Rumble Studio wanted to be a brat, but that's to the people, to be honest. And of course, thank you to the man himself from the far up and calls us the lower 48 because we're just plebes to him. AlaskaManJeff. Always a pleasure, sir. I know today you were. It's easier. It was easier for you to come on today than it usually is other days, but I appreciate it all the same. So I look forward to doing it again. It's probably been about your. I think this is your third time now.
Third time been on here. Yep.
Yep.
Maybe
So
next time I'll do uh, a little bit of exploring of some of the new projects, but
hey,
we'll save
Cast.
that for then.
Hey, Castercraft. If you want to see all those the new stuff, go to Castercraft. He's trying to make a family friendly. Oh, this was right. It's a family friendly stuff. Family friendly
Yep.
viewing.
I say family friendly not because it's supposed to be childish. It's supposed to be for the whole family,
Yeah.
meaning that there's stuff that's going to be for each age range, kind of like what Disney used to be. But trying to make stuff is very slow, and I got thwarted by platforms. And so that's why I had to make my own place because I was like, I got so fed up of other options.
Mm,
I was just like, well, let's just try and tinker on this a little bit.
mm.
And 2 years later, finally have a site.
Woohoo! And that's what
So, yeah.
Castercraft is. Well, also
Yep.
that in your YouTube is Castercraft, where it really. I mean, I do know you put some of your stuff there, like the gaming. You do the Fortnite gaming and all that stuff, but
On the yeah, that's on the AlaskaManJeff stuff. The Castercraft stuff is only things that are related to art,
mm,
animation, and storytelling, of which got a couple of stories that are getting close to coming out, including the next animation, which is a minute and a half. It may not seem like a whole lot to a lot of folks, but a minute and a half when you had to make everything from scratch is actually quite labor intensive.
what's the time for that month, that minute and a half? What's the time, like months?
Oh, to make that one?
Yeah.
Well, I had a lot of problems with that. A
Ugh.
whole like the number of things that you had problems with today times that time to like 1,000
Ugh.
for what I was encountering.
Mm-mm.
I had a problem just about every single week for the last 10 months to try and get this out.
Mm.
I've learned a whole lot. I've learned some things that I cannot go into in the future and
Mm.
some techniques to do be able to pull this off a lot easier next time.
There you go.
The next animation should be a lot faster. Should be.
And then it comes to the next problem like, ah, curse
That
you.
feels like what my life has been like. It's like I get a render, it's like, "Yeah, this looks great." I hit render for the whole thing and it implodes. I'm like,
Ugh,
"Okay, well, let's try this again tomorrow." It implodes.
ugh,
It's a good thing I'm not paying for a render farm because I would have lost thousands of dollars at this point.
ugh.
That's why you don't invest in render farms, folks. It's way too expensive.
Way too expensive, and the risk is the ratio of success to failure is low. That's right. It's like so low. It's like my Uncle Bob selling cars that don't look like they should be running at all, and yet somehow magically they still run. But come on down, Uncle Bob's car sales. That's right. These cars look like they're half there, half not, but that's okay because they still run. But I know. But yes, for those who are watching this later on, thank you for joining us. I tried. You'll see throughout this video, I tried to restart try to go live with it, but it didn't. So it is what it is. But still, a hope that the video with us chatting about whatever and maybe trying to give Rumble a rough itch under the hood, will try to explain that while we can care, we are not hype people. We In order to see something succeed, you have to be quite pragmatic about it. It's the only way to go. Humility, honesty, and a little pragmatism goes a long way. Uh, just, just not when you're trying to sneak into a movie theater. But anyway, was only once. It was only once. Okay, no, I'm just joking. But anyway, guys, tomorrow, like we talked about earlier, I will be on Sevi Show Moon Skull at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. When I had asked her, she had to correct me. It's like 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll make sure to say that. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. So hopefully tune in for that. We'll see if I can play whatever D&D is, because uh, yeah, I know I won't be able to stay all. I don't know how long they go, but I don't know if I'll be able to stay all night. So we'll see. But anyway, I hope you will join me for that. Again, all our links over there on the right. Uh, go and give us a look again. Trying to do our best with, but you know what? We had fun along the way, and somehow we carried through without chat. So there was that. So thank you all. But anyway, have a great rest of your night. See you tomorrow 9 p.m. Eastern. And again, uh what's like a Jerry's like final thoughts sort of thing. Like put your puck on the ice or something like that. I don't know. No, put your stick on the ice.
Have a pleasant evening, folks, one and all. Be
uh
civil to one another, and we'll see you next time.
and he sounds so announcer when he does it too. It's just so it's crescendo. See you later, guys. Bye.